The drive up is, there's really nothing like it. It seems like you're always turning. There's this certain point where right when you get above the fog line, almost like taking off in an airplane, it's kind of mystic. You almost have to start by telling people, okay, this is a Cabernet-based wine, and it's not from Napa. We're actually south of San Francisco, and we're up at about, 2,000 to 2,600 feet.
We are in the Santa Cruz Mountains. In California, viticulture and winemaking, it kind of stands alone. We're not the North region, we're not Central Coast, we're kind of Santa Cruz Mountains. It takes in 3 counties. It takes in Santa Clara County and Santa Cruz County and a touch of San Mateo County. And it's a huge area, but not very many grapes in it. Very steep, very rugged terrain. The grapes are kind of scattered in pods wherever is plantable. In the 1870s, the South Bay had some amazing vintners and some great quality wines. And a physician in San Francisco, Oloseo Proni, decided to go all the way up on Monte Bello Road.
To think about how they made that road to get up here, that alone is pretty incredible. Then carve out of a mountainside a winery, at the very top of the mountain is amazing.
Everybody back then had their wine storage up in San Francisco. So when the wine was ready, they would pump it into these fairly big barrels on a buggy, take it down to the railroad station and roll it up on the railroad cars and take it to the city where it would be bottled as needed. After around 1900, there were 7 or 9 wineries up here. After Prohibition, most of them were abandoned and taken over by brush. In 1959, a group of Stanford Research Institute scientists decided to pool their resources and buy some land to get back in touch with the soil. When they bought this land, they didn't buy it for the grapes, but that was a little bonus. And that year, Dave Bennion made a little bit of Cabernet wine in his garage at his place in Palo Alto. Well, that wine turned out to be pretty good, and so in 1962, they ended up incorporating Ridge Vineyards. In '69, they hired Paul Draper, whose first job was to renovate Joe Peroni Winery.
Where this is and was a totally dilapidated, falling in shed. They were making the wine here in this cellar. They realized they had to make more wine just to break even. They asked Frank Lloyd Wright's architect here in San Francisco if he would come up and look at what could be done with this building to expand it, to give them more room. And he kind of went through and said, I'm sorry, is there any other building on this mountain? And they said, well, there's an abandoned winery a mile up the road. So Aaron went up and went through the building and he said, this is the building.
When you go down into the cellar, chiseled out of limestone, just rock walls, it's a very real sort of reconnection to the earth. And then when you're tasting the wine, it's almost like you're tasting, the mountain itself. You're down at the Silicon Valley, you're at the most modern central point of the world, and then you just come up here and it's like you just took a trip back in time. You have a glass of wine that's from the grapes that are right here in front of you. Some of the oldest vines actually are right out here on the knoll. There's just something great about the rusticity of it, I think. Makes it real.